Some arguments don't ruin relationships because of disagreement. They ruin everything because of how you react. Just one poorly timed sentence, a defensive attitude, or an emotionally charged response can turn a normal conversation into a cold war that lasts for days, weeks, even years. And the scariest part is that most people don't even realize they're pushing others away with the way they respond in moments of anger. You may think you're just protecting yourself, but from the other person's perspective, you might be dismissing their feelings, looking down on them, or making them feel like talking to you is pointless. Conflict itself isn't the problem. Reacting poorly is, because it quietly erodes trust, respect, and the ability to connect. If you've ever argued with a partner, a friend, a colleague, or a family member and afterward felt like things only got worse, this is for you. Watch until the end, because sometimes changing just a few small habits can completely transform how others treat you. 1. Never respond with "I didn't do anything wrong." This is one of the most common reactions when receiving feedback or complaints. It may sound harmless, but it immediately puts you in a defensive position and forces the other person to prove that they're right. The conversation shifts from solving a problem to arguing about who's right and who's wrong. For example, someone says, "Earlier the way you spoke made me feel disrespected," and you reply, "I didn't do anything wrong." The issue isn't whether you intended to do something wrong. The issue is that the other person is sharing their experience. When you respond this way, the message they receive is, "Your feelings matter less than my need to defend myself." Instead, try saying, "So you felt uncomfortable with what I said earlier, is that right? Or I didn't mean it that way, but I want to understand how you felt." Next time someone gives you feedback, don't rush to defend yourself in the first 5 seconds. Practice asking a question first so you can understand before reacting. 2. Never respond by bringing up the past. When arguing about a current issue, many people instinctively bring up past mistakes to counterattack. What about last time you did the same thing before? Don't forget who was actually wrong back then. This is one of the fastest ways to derail any argument. At that point, you're no longer addressing the current issue. You're opening a vault of past wounds just to gain the upper hand. It may feel like you're being fair, but in reality, you're doing two things: avoiding responsibility in the present and making the other person feel like they'll never truly have a chance to make things right, because the past will always be used against them. For example, your partner says lately, "You haven't been as attentive to me." Instead of listening, you respond, "What about you? You forgot my birthday last month." And just like that, the conversation is no longer about recent distance. It turns into a running tab of unresolved emotional debts. A better approach is to separate each issue. You could say, "I want to focus on this first. What happened last month matters too, but I think we should deal with one thing at a time." If you're in an argument, ask yourself, is what I'm about to say helping solve this problem, or just helping me win? 3. Never respond with sarcasm. Sarcasm is something many people use when they don't want to yell but still want to hurt the other person. It may sound clever, sharp, even cool, but in arguments, sarcasm is simply contempt wrapped in words. For example, "Yeah, of course. You're always right. Wow, impressive. Clearly, you're the only one who ever suffers." Statements like these almost never improve a conversation. They make the other person feel insulted, mocked, and immediately put up their defenses. Once contempt enters the conversation, understanding almost disappears. If you're upset, express your real feelings directly instead of firing off sarcastic remarks. For example, "That comment made me feel frustrated. I feel like my opinion isn't being respected. I need you to be clear instead of making me guess." Being direct isn't weak. It's far more mature than sounding sharp while quietly destroying the connection. 4. Never respond by interrupting to correct every detail. One of the most frustrating habits in arguments is interrupting just to fix minor details. "No, it wasn't 800, it was 815. That's not exactly what I said. You're remembering it wrong." Yes, accuracy can matter, but when someone is trying to express their feelings or a bigger issue, cutting them off to correct small details makes them feel like you care more about being logically right than about what they're going through. Most of the time, people don't need a perfect record. They need to feel heard. For example, instead of saying, "That's not true, I didn't leave right away that day," try, "I remember the details a bit differently, but I understand that you felt like I left you there." That response changes everything. It keeps your version of the truth while still validating their experience. In your next argument, Try letting the other person speak for just 1 full minute without interrupting. Just 1 minute. You'll be surprised how much the tension drops. If you've realized by now that you've made at least 2 or 3 of these mistakes, pause for 3 seconds and hit like on the video. Not just for support, but as a reminder to yourself from today on, I won't react on autopilot anymore. And if you want a part 2 on what to say to instantly de-escalate arguments, comment smart response below. I'll read every single one. 5. Never respond with, "You're too sensitive." This is an incredibly damaging phrase because it doesn't just dismiss what the other person is saying, it dismisses their right to feel altogether. When someone says they feel hurt, pressured, or offended and you respond with, "You're too sensitive," what they actually hear is, "The problem isn't my behavior. The problem is that you're weak." This might make the other person go quiet, but not because they agree. They go quiet because it no longer feels safe to keep sharing. A more mature response would be, "I didn't think it was that serious, but if it made you feel bad, I want to understand more." You don't have to fully agree with someone's feelings to respect them. Those are 2 different things. Practical tip: instead of judging how valid their emotions are, ask about what caused them. That's the only way to get to the root of the issue. 6. Never respond by raising your voice to gain control. Many people think speaking louder gives them the upper hand. In reality, raising your voice only pushes both nervous systems into fight mode. At that point, no one is really listening anymore. Each person is just preparing their next counterattack. In arguments, tone often carries more weight than content. A completely normal sentence, when delivered with a harsh tone, can instantly feel like a threat. And once the other person feels overpowered, they'll either push back or shut down completely. If you notice your voice getting louder, that's a sign to slow down, not speed up. You could say, "I'm getting a bit heated, let me slow down." Or, "I want to keep talking, but I don't want this to turn into shouting." Here's a simple trick during an argument: intentionally lower your voice by about 20% below your normal level. Your body will force your brain to slow down with it. 7. Never respond with absolute words like always and never. "You're always like this. You never understand me. It's always the same." Absolute words sound strong, but they're often inaccurate. And because they're inaccurate, they trigger immediate resistance. The other person stops focusing on the real issue and starts arguing against your exaggeration instead. For example, instead of hearing, "You've been making me feel neglected lately," they hear, "That's not true, I'm not always like that." A small shift in wording makes a big difference. Lately, there have been a few times I felt like I wasn't a priority. In this situation, I felt overlooked. Sometimes I feel like you're not really listening to me. The more specific you are, the easier it is to have a real conversation. The more absolute you sound, the more likely it is to reach a dead end. 8. Never respond by assuming intent. One of the biggest mistakes in arguments is assuming the other person's motives. "You said that just to hurt me. You're being silent because you don't respect me. You did that because you're selfish." When you assign intent, you're turning a guess into a fact. And more often than not, you're wrong. The other person might be quiet because they're overwhelmed, not because they're disrespecting you. They might have forgotten, not because they wanted to hurt you. Instead of jumping to conclusions, describe what you observe and ask to clarify. When you go quiet, I start to feel uncomfortable and think I'm not being respected. Do you need some time? This approach helps prevent a lot of unnecessary misunderstandings. Practical tip: remove the phrase "you did it on purpose" from your vocabulary when you're upset. Replace it with "I feel, and I'm interpreting it as" instead. 9. Never respond by completely shutting down. Some people react by exploding. Others react by shutting down completely, going silent, walking away, staring at their phone, not responding, becoming emotionally cold. Many think this helps avoid making things worse. But silence without explanation often creates a feeling of abandonment and punishment. What's dangerous is that shutting down is usually interpreted as indifference. Even if you're just overwhelmed, the other person may feel left alone at the moment. They need connection the most. If you need to pause, do it responsibly. For example, right now, I'm too overwhelmed to talk calmly. Give me 20 minutes and I'll come back. That's very different from walking away without saying anything. Learn a safe pause sentence in advance. Write it down if you need to. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed to figure it out. 10. Never respond just to win. This is the biggest and most subtle mistake. In many arguments, you're not actually trying to solve the problem. You're trying to win. Win with sharper logic. Win by pointing out the other person's flaws. Win by leaving them speechless. But in meaningful relationships, winning an argument that way often means losing in the long run. You win the moment but lose trust. You win the words but lose closeness. You silence the other person but you don't help them understand. The real goal of an argument isn't who's more right. It's how can we understand what's happening between us and fix it. Before you respond, ask yourself, is this helping us connect or just helping me dominate? That one question alone can save a lot of relationships. What makes a person mature isn't that they never argue. It's not that they're always calm, always right, or always in control of their emotions. What truly elevates someone is their ability to pause at the right moment, to avoid turning pain into a weapon defensiveness, into attack, or a small issue into a deep crack in the relationship. Most of us were never taught how to respond in a healthy way when conflict happens. We simply repeat what we've seen, heard, or endured. Someone raises their voice at us, we raise ours back. Someone dismisses our feelings, we learn to dismiss theirs. And over time, conversations that were meant to bring understanding end up leaving both sides exhausted, distant, and emotionally cold. But here's the good news, reactions are habits, and habits can be changed. You don't need to become a perfect person after this video. You just need to start with one small shift. Just one. Maybe it's stopping yourself from interrupting. Maybe it's dropping the phrase, "You're too sensitive." Maybe it's learning to pause before saying the first thing that comes to mind when you're upset. One small change repeated consistently can create a completely different version of you in the eyes of others. Because in the end, people don't remember how you won an argument. They remember how they felt when they talked to you. They remember whether they felt heard, judged, or safe enough to be honest. And that's what determines whether a relationship grows stronger or falls apart. If you've made it this far, do one thing right now. Comment the number of the habit you struggle with most. Just one number, 1, 4, 7, or 10. It's a way of naming the problem so you can start changing it. And if this video resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who also needs to learn how to respond better in conflict. In the next video, I'll cover 10 phrases that can instantly de-escalate arguments and make people more willing to listen. If you want to see it, don't miss it. Because knowing what not to say is the first step, but knowing what to say is what truly changes the game. Don't wait until the next argument to realize you need to change. Start today. Because one different response can save an entire relationship.